All right, so this is my next little project. I've been wanting to do this for like a year. It's the Camaro SS, this little hood extractor. Um, so I wanted to do about a year ago, and with all the other stuff I had going on with the car, I didn't really get to it yet. And then, like I said, I ended up deploying. So that took up a couple months, and now I see a lot of people have been doing it. Um, It's for the SS, my Chevrolet SS. I kind of don't want to do it now because everybody seems to be doing it, but I ended up purchasing it like right before I left to go on deployment. So I have it, so I'm gonna use it. Um, Say this is the upper part of the vent. It's SLP. Um, it's actually fully functional. This is the bottom part. This will be the drip tray. So if I'm not mistaken, it would go something like that. And like I say, since it's open, if you get water in there, your drip tray will let it drain to the front. Just got to kind of figure out best position of where I want to put it. See if I can sit it there. Like I said, it's not a bad look really. Just got to figure out how far up I want it. Not to mention, the best spot to put it with the supercharger so it doesn't interfere, because I do want to use the drip tray. I know some people have done it, they didn't use the drip tray, I guess because of maybe clearance or hitting stuff, but I know I don't want it too low, but like I said, I don't want it too high either. I shouldn't sit that on there, but see, that feels like that's a little too low for me, so probably end up putting it somewhere around here. So it's not, like I said, I will have to cut the hood, but y'all can see it looks pretty decent. I think I'm gonna leave it black, because like I said, I have the black wrap on the roof, and a lot of the details on the car are black. But I also thought about doing it like I did the sides, just painting it the bronze and leaving the vents black. So having this whole other piece bronze and just leave this inside vent area black. Like I said, I'm still kind of figuring out what the color. I think I'm just gonna leave it black though. I think it'll fit pretty nicely, just black. I keep looking at the car trying to figure out black or bronze. I just feel like the bronze might be a little too much right there. But we'll see. Like I said, this next project comes with instructions. I can't quite remember how much this was. By the time I post this video, I should have figured it out. But so it comes with the instructions, the seal. Obviously, this is going to be a little different with the SS. But I have seen a guy, I think in Australia, I think did it to a I think it was a Maloo. But I actually hit him up, and he kind of helped me out and gave me some ideas about how he did it. So I'm gonna try that, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I started out making a template. I just got a piece of cardboard. I actually used the box that it came in. What I ended up doing is flipping it upside down. Just use a pencil to kind of trace an outline of the main form here. And then what I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna go, because it's about, I say it's about maybe half an inch inside that it's gonna sit on. So I'm gonna go and use the line I drew out. Like I say, this is what I had so far for it. And then I'm gonna go and use the same line. I go in about half an inch and draw the same ring around. I actually use that and cut that piece out. That'll be my cutting template. Then of course I'll measure out the same point on every side of this cardboard box and actually cut it properly so I can use that to align it on the hood. But I'm gonna go ahead and draw those lines next, and be back. All right, so I went around and I had a certain distance, and then what I ended up doing, like I said, I will put little, so I find where little markers. It's kind of hard to see. put a little mark all through out the template. Trying to get the capture on this phone. I don't know why this thing does that. Corners, I kind of went ahead and filled it in. Like I said, there's one. There's another one here and here. I just pretty much did that all the way around. Then what I'm gonna do is use a flat edge. I'll actually just probably use the instructions thing with it. Now I'll line up my dots and go ahead and connect the lines all the way around. After that, then I'll cut that out and I actually sit the piece inside the cardboard cutout just to make sure I did it right. Got my double line all the way around, guys. See, this inside line will be the one that I'm gonna be cutting. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut that out. And then I'll fit the hood in there. Fit the vent in there and see how it is. And that'll let me know if it's good. That's gonna be the groundwork for the actual cut on the hood. So this is something you definitely wanna measure and make sure you get right. See, I don't wanna buy another hood, so try to figure this out. I'll be back. I got it cut out. So here's what I ended up with. That's pretty much about perfect. Like I said, that's just the inside, so it's not gonna be exactly. But then when I try, see, I'll try to fit this in here. Damn, that's pretty flush. Drops in there. I have a little overlap for where that is. The back lines up almost perfect. You see my line right there. If I line that one up, my line in the front is pretty much the same way. See here. Just flip it over. The cut's a little rough, but you see it fits the end. I line it up right where it should be. I got the same perfect gap all the way around, so I can use this. And all I have to do is just go through and actually kind of cut the board up evenly. I'll measure out from the sides of each the distance I want. I said at this point, this is just for me to actually align it on the hood properly. So I'll do that, tape off the hood. We'll go from there. All right, y'all see, essentially, I'm just gonna use this as a template to mark it up. I actually like the distance of this back piece, and I know that's actually cut straight. So I'll probably actually line that up to the back. Then like, so all I have to do really is get my measurements to make sure this is centered left to right. But let's see. So I'll sit it in here. It'll roughly be, like I said, I know that's not exactly centered, but once I work that out, it'll roughly be something like that. Like I said, I might even try to drop it down some. What I'll do is kind of mark so I can actually see what it looks like without the cardboard. Let me do that now. Actually, I'm not gonna mark, I'm just gonna kind of slide the cardboard out. Put it back where it was. Essentially, it was sitting about there, which I don't think that's bad. I may actually want to lower it a little, but I think that's pretty good. So I don't want it too far down. I think about there is the ideal spot for me, or where I think I'll like it. Like I said, but I may come up some. That's gonna all depend on how it seems like it's gonna fit with the LSA. And I actually do want to make sure I keep it a little farther up, just because the hood actually kind of starts to curve down here. So I want to keep as flat of a surface as I can. I mean, this does flex some, so it's not too big of a deal. But I think something about there. Let's see. I think that's about good. That's probably where I'll leave it. So I think that's actually lined up pretty even with how the cardboard had it. It's definitely not much. So I actually will probably use the cardboard template. Let me see. So yeah, with the cardboard, it slides it down just slightly. So I will use the cardboard and just use this back piece to Keep it flush with the end of the hood here. Then like I said, I just have to measure off the sides and make sure it's centered. Tape this down, make sure it doesn't move. Well, I'm gonna actually tape under the car first to make sure the paint is, don't have any issue with the paint. So I'll probably just tape a bunch of tape under there. We'll go to that next. All right, so I taped off my section. Like I said, just a rough outline, kind of. I don't need to tape the whole area, just where this incision will be. So I went over, like I say, on both sides, just to make sure. Like I said, then once I get it lined up, how I do it, just cut on the tape. Actually, using tape to mark too. Tape is just make sure the paint doesn't chip. I'll throw some stuff down over the car, protect it from any other debris. I said my main thing now is just to get it lined up and measure out. I'll actually just use I can use the marks here and measure to a point on the end of the hood. Just make sure it's the same on every side. Like I said, then I'll tape that down, make sure it doesn't move. That'll give me my template to draw my lines. Really only make sure it's steady so I can draw the cutting line. Then once I draw that, I'll tend with the underside. Got to get the hood liner out. I plan to still use it, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so I took an initial measurement, kind of got it initially measured up, went ahead and taped it down. So what I'm gonna do is recheck my measurements just to make sure, and then once that's correct, if it's correct, I'll go ahead and draw my line on the tape. Like I said, all I did was I just used the inside of the board, and what I ended up measuring too was this indent line in the hood. So just made sure that was even. So right here, say I'm getting, and of course I had to use the same points. Say I want to just go till I got, see right there, it's about right at 15. So I went ahead and went to the exact same point on the other side. I actually did make sure it was exact, so this isn't quite accurate. I'm just trying to do this way so I can show you on the phone. And if you can see the indent. And you see it's right on 15. You guys can't see that well, but that's pretty much how I did it around, so I'm actually pretty set. And like I say, with the hole, you'll have a little bit of wiggle room as opposed to like where you want it. So it doesn't have to be 100% spot on, but you definitely want it 99%, if that makes sense. So I think I'm good where I want it, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually mark it out with the pencil on the tape. Then the last thing I just have to do is actually cut it. And I should be good to go. All right, essentially this is what I got. See, I already kind of got my line marked. I'm gonna go over it with a permanent marker to make it a little more visible. I say measured out pretty decent, pretty good. And I'll go through and cut it. That's what we got with the permanent marker. Again, let's go through and check. Say I go to like the edge this time. So I'm at about, let's see. That looks like about 2 3/4. Look right on that line. It's kind of, I know it's harder for you guys to see it with the camera, but it's right on it with that one. Come and check it again. See, once again, I'm like right at 2 3/4 on that slant, that kind of indent design on the hood. So, like I say, I checked all of them. So they all match up pretty good. So next thing I just got to do is go under the hood and take out the lining, see what everything's like under there, if anything's gonna be hit or anything. So make sure I don't cut anything that doesn't need to be cut. Alright, here we are looking under the car. See the liners, just a couple little clips, 6 to be exact right there. I have to figure out exactly how it comes off. I haven't never had to take it all under here, under the front. There are a bunch of little tabs, one under this weather strip in the front. So I had to get those off. And then the 6 big ones. Hopefully that should, I think I have enough room. I know this, I have an indent here already from this hose, which I think I can direct that down a little bit, give myself a little more room as far as that goes. But like I said, that's not too big of a deal. Like I said, that part won't be there anymore anyway. So it'll just be an issue of whether the liner will fit with those. I mean the drip pan. And if it doesn't, I still want to keep it. So what I'll probably end up doing, if it does run into an issue there, I'll just probably just cut that section out of the drip pan. So when it fits down, it'll just fit over that part. Like I said, I'm not too worried about, you know, major water there. If the rest of the drip pan's intact to kind of lead it down to the front. And let's see. This should sit down kind of like right here in the front anyway, once the hood's down. So I'll just have to see how that works. So I'll drip everything right here in the front of the engine. No issues. Actually, that should be pretty good clearance. Like I said, we'll see once I get more into it. All right, I got all the little plastic tabs out the front trim part. Just be careful, this rubber molding actually comes out. The holes are through that too, so it fits. Just slip it over. I think what I'm actually do is leave the trim up while I cut it, just so if I cut, you know, through enough, it'll actually go ahead and outline where I need to cut on this. So I'm gonna leave those 6 in for now. They're out of the way. So I pulled it down, looked under there. There's nothing. It's just hood. And then once I actually cut it, that's when I'll go ahead and drop those out so I can go with the next step and clean everything up. So next thing to do is the cut. All right, so I had a big heavy comforter that I used to lay on the floor if I need to get under the car and stuff. So I just kind of shielded the whole engine bay with that. I got some blocks here that's gonna hit on these bump stops just to give me some distance off a little. Then pretty sure I got another comforter, and I'll just lay that on. I got some car covers actually. I'll just lay those over the hood and the rest of the engine, or excuse me, the hood, windshield, roof, everything else to make sure none of the sparks cause any damage. All right, so I'm gonna be using a cutoff wheel. Oh, ain't no turning back. Pretty nervous. see I'm sweating. That's pretty nerve-wracking. Now, after I get this original piece out of the way, so I'll be really careful here. But it looks like it did pretty good. Definitely cut one thing I didn't want to, which was the windshield washer line. So it came out pretty decent. I just got to go through and clean up all these edges, and the corners are the ones that I pretty much cut a slit in it so I can kind of go back and try to grind this out a little easier. I didn't want to try to use a big cutoff wheel, put the whole piece in there to try to get around it. Actually, I can just kind of break that one off. Not quite the same for that one, but I'll get that out, smooth everything out. I say, yeah, I just definitely cut my windshield wiper line, but that's no biggie. And it gave me a nice slight little indent on this foam piece. So now I know where to cut that. I'll go through, I'm gonna vacuum up these shavings and clean this off a little bit. All right. Hood. I actually just ended up leaving the insulation in, and I raised the blocks up just to make sure I got extra height, and I went ahead and cut all the way through it. Let's see. I'm not too worried about that. The insulation, I can always move it around later. And I'll just have to fits in there nicely, and I somehow latch the hood. See, it's gonna slide for now because it's not secured, but that works out pretty good. I just gotta, like I said, I did have that one boo-boo where I cut through this wiper line. So I'm just gonna go get some the little plastic connections, 2 of those, and piece it together, or I might just take the whole liner out. So that'll depend on whether it feels like I need to take the whole liner out or not. Put it in place, it'll be about right there. And you see my little gap, the little line kind of on the back of the piece, the vent, that should be right where it kind of meets. And then the one up here does the same thing. So cut's good. I just have to see how it's gonna work with the drip pan. And then I have to figure out the situation of securing it. Originally this comes for, like I say, a Camaro, and it always has a vent, so you're just replacing it, and these tabs fit in the tabs already made into that hood. Obviously this one doesn't have that, so you have 3. On the SLP you have those 6, little slots. So I'm gonna do is get some screws. I'm gonna get some bolts, and the guy I was talking to, he used 1 and 1.75 inch standoffs to kind of gap where the insulation is, and then he drilled pretty much essentially. He took the standoff to fill that gap, and then he just drilled these same holes onto the drip pan. So essentially he lined it up to this end however he wanted it, and then he just kind of matched those holes and drilled them into the drip pan. And then the other side of the standoff is threaded, so you have a bolt going in here. I'm going to slide the bolt head under here. Now I have the bolt threads coming out on this The bolt threads will be coming out here. And with the threads, I'll thread the standoff on. That'll give me that, should be, you know, say inch 75, 1.75 of an inch. And then that thread, like I said, that'll be in the standoff. And then I have the same bolt on this side going under. So this will go under the drip pan. It'll meet to the other side of the standoff. And I'll be able to screw it down, hold it in place, and secure it. Also, it comes with a little adhesive film that'll help keep it steady as well. So that should be good. I just actually have to go get some standoffs. I'm gonna kind of try to fit things up and see how they're gonna look first. Just to give y'all an idea. I think it fits pretty nice. Actually looks pretty damn good. So I just gotta make sure I can get the rest of it situated. I almost wanna just secure it with the strips. That way that'll hold that in place. Then I can figure out the bolt situation, but I'm not sure about that till I actually get it figured out, so I'm gonna wait on it. Also, while I was at it, it comes in that kind of flat black plastic, excuse me, kind of finish, kind of like, almost like this style here on the mirrors. It's not quite like a gloss. It's like a semi or a flat. So I went ahead and bought some black gloss. I just bought a primer, a black gloss paint, and then I have a gloss clear I'm gonna put over it at the end. Now this is my first layer of black. I already did the primer, came out good. So I'm gonna probably do 4 or 5 coats of that. Then maybe 3 or 4 of the clear, depending on how it looks. I'm always risky where we're doing clear coats, so I don't want it to cloud up, so see how that's gonna work. If it's really glossy off the, just from the beginning, I may just leave it like that, but I do want a little extra protection over it, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna let that cure up overnight, and then I'll go through and install it. I was looking for some coupling screws, coupling nuts to use, or some people call them standoffs, depending on what style I think you're looking for. Stores I went to here, for some reason, didn't have them that size I wanted. So I'm just gonna actually use a long bolt and some nuts. I got my piece out here. I just got it, I let it sit overnight, but I just put it in the sun a little bit, let it bake a little today. Came out pretty good. So once I know it's actually pretty cured, where I can handle it as minimally as possible, I'll go ahead with my setup. What I'm gonna do, I think, is use these bolts, the slots on the actual extractor. I'm gonna put these under the slots. I got some different sizes just to see. I'll put the bolts under the slots, so when it sits down on the hood, I drill my hole through the drip pan. Then on the other side of the drip pan, obviously I'll have this going through, and I'll have my washer and my bolt, and then that's also help, that will kind of sandwich the drip pan and the extractor on the hood. The reason for the gap is because, like I say, the insulation still for the hood I'm trying to retain, so that's why I have a gap here to kind of keep that to be able to accommodate for the gap of the insulation. Like I said, it's pretty thick little gap, probably about an inch and a quarter. So that's that plan. Like I said, once it dries up, I kind of try to measure up the holes and test fit it and see how it is. All right, so here's what I made. This is, I think, a 5/16 by, was it 5/16 by 2-inch screw, I think. I got a washer under it, washer on top, nut on top to hold it secure. I'm gonna Loctite it. Same there. The front two are a little smaller space, so I think these are old. I think these are old M8 bolts I had. The heads are a little smaller, but I did the same thing. I say washer under, on top, and then the nut. I might actually double nut it, and then I'm gonna find a spot that it matches up on the drip tray. I'll drill the holes, like it's in the drip tray, in the sandwich of the drip tray, and this will be pretty much what holds it. So if you're checking it out from the underside, this is what you got. Like I say, it still has some decent hang, so I should be able to get it to fit. I do have slightly longer bolts if that doesn't work. I know those will work, but this should be good enough for now. Like I said, I'm just gonna figure out exactly where it's gonna meet up with the drip tray. Once I get that, I'll drill the holes. I'm actually gonna just take it off and see where I want the drip tray to sit. And then, because I do want it to be, make sure it's vented properly. Here's the holes I end up with. Smaller one slightly at the front because those screws were smaller. Those nuts or bolts, excuse me. So it's even. So I'm gonna do a test fit, see how it is. All right, y'all. So here's what we got. I got it up there. The bolts were a little longer, so of course I just chopped them off flush, just to make sure I had room for it to close. Like I say, I mean, quick little easy little mod, it's not bad. I don't know why this thing always has so much trouble focusing. Let me see what my block is. But it's in there, pretty nice and flush. Hopefully with some heat too, the engine and stuff, the plastic will kind of seal better. What I ended up doing was I put some sealant around it as well. It had that little strip, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna move. I know it's not, it's pretty tight. You see, like, it's not going anywhere. So I don't have any issues with that, but I wanted to seal it just for in case, because the strip, they give you just a little foam padding to go around. But like I say, for weather and rain, I didn't want it to, it's no big deal, it has a drip pan, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure, too much water doesn't get under there. I also put a little primer on the cut, where I made the cut, to make sure, try to avoid for rust, but that's another reason I don't want the water there. But there you have it. Not bad. I just got to clean up, and I'll try to get some better pictures. Finished product. Not bad. Paint held up pretty well too. Nice little gloss. I like it.